At the Wexford Festival Opera for its 70th anniversary to discover the world of opera and to meet singers, those with an international profile and those just beginning their careers. We'll have beautiful music, hear about the history of this remarkable festival and find out about the man who founded it on a shoestring. We'll also be meeting some of the local volunteers, without whom Wexford Opera probably couldn't even open its doors.
Sometimes, actually, I don't even realise that the children are talking to me and I zone out, and then the next thing I'm singing something. They're like, "Mom, I'm speaking to you." And I'm like, "Oh, sorry."
I need people going out saying, I thought opera was boring. It's not. And maybe I will come back and I will bring a friend. This is what I want.
What has made Wexford Opera the success it is today is its ability to look outwards, almost from the beginning. So, nearly 60 years ago, a doctor from Wexford and a local postman made what might be described as an audacious trip to Rome. The purpose was to audition singers for an opera festival few had even heard of, in a town many certainly hadn't heard of, and in a theatre that was, by any standards, decrepit. Nevertheless, Dr. Tom Walsh and Seamus O'Dwyer managed to audition a 26-year-old singer with a unique singing voice. Thus, Mirella Freni arrived in Wexford in 1962 to sing in a production of Bellini's I Puritani. Freni went on to become one of the world's greatest sopranos, and her role as Mimi in La Bohème is regarded by many as among the finest portrayals ever.
He found a pearl. Mirella Freni has been a great singer. And she came here to sing Puritani.
This story defines Wexford Festival and marks its place as an event that's managed to attract some of opera's greatest upcoming names in some of opera's most forgotten works.
The fact that a group of amateurs could have staged an opera festival in a semi-derelict theatre here in Wexford 70 years ago was an achievement. But the fact that that festival now attracts the international acclaim and support that it does today is quite remarkable.
Tom Walsh was a visionary, but he was also a very, very determined man. And he invested a lot of his own money into the festival, as did his friends. And he had huge connections in the UK, in Ireland. I mean, he was able to bring Sir Compton Mackenzie over to Ireland.
Today, renowned tenors such as Juan Diego Flores and Joseph Calleja are among Wexford's alumni, and sopranos such as Leslie Garrett followed in Mirella Freni's footsteps. Wexford Festival Opera has come a long, long way since 1951. Bride Tynan, now aged 91, remembers well Wexford's first production, The Rose of Castile by Dublin-born composer William Balfe.
It was the first time we had anything like that in Wexford. The orchestra was very good then, you know, they were the radio airing orchestra. It was a very good production. It really was, The Rose of Castile. It was the unknown one of Balfe. You know, and that's why Dr. Tom Walsh chose it, because Wexford Festival was set up to do unknown operas. I was thrilled, you know. It wasn't my first opera. I used to go to the Dublin Grand Opera and at that stage, but I had never been to any other big opera anyplace else. So the excitement of going, dressing up and going, and I just loved music.
Her friend Nellie Walsh, sister of Dr. Tom as he was known, sang the first notes in that first production. What began as the fanciful ambition of a gramophone circle of Wexford opera lovers was driven for 16 years by Tom Walsh. He enlisted the help of the then Opera magazine's editor, Sir Compton Mackenzie. Sir Alfred Byte, a wealthy philanthropist who lived at Rusborough House in Wicklow, would later become a vital financial backer.
Maybe you need a character like that to get something like this off the ground in the provinces in Ireland in the 1950s. He was described as a ruthless martinet by some, and he absolutely drove the idea through himself. He had, as I said, a group of close friends that came along with him.
Apart from the group's dedication, it was Walsh's ability to spot those new voices and to persuade them to come to his sleepy hometown that put Wexford on the international map.
He had a real sense of being able to pick really, really good singers. But not only that, very quickly, within a couple of years, singers wanted to come to Wexford because they wanted to be seen on the stage here. They realised the kind of calibre of people that Tom Walsh was putting together here, and they felt that it was a real opportunity for them to get work abroad as well. They came, and they didn't come for the conditions, certainly not. The Theatre Royal was deplorable, really, in terms of what it had to offer opera singers. The orchestral pit was a disaster. So they came because they felt that it was a really good stage for them to help them in their careers going forward. It is a remarkable achievement.
Over the years, Wexford Opera lurched through financial crises, disputes between Walsh and others, and all kinds of structural and artistic challenges. However, by the time Tom Walsh took a backseat role in the 1960s, Wexford was truly on its way to international recognition, and professional artistic direction became the norm. So too did commercial sponsorship and the assistance of the Arts Council. Except for 1 year when the old theatre was being rebuilt, the festival has delivered exceptional operas and music in Wexford every autumn. Rosetta Cookie's first season as artistic director saw the lights go out at the Opera House. Well, almost. Deprived by COVID of a cast, an orchestra and an audience, she nevertheless determined to pursue something that is fast becoming a significant part of Wexford Festival Opera, an academy for young singers known as The Factory. "14 singers from Ireland and abroad gathered in a bubble to live and sing together for an intense and demanding period, during which Cookie used her contacts book to persuade some of the biggest names in international opera to give masterclasses. Among those who agreed to teach the Wexford students were Celine Byrne, Juan Diego Flores and Ermelina Yaho, renowned singers who are in constant demand at the world's great opera houses. For the students, this mentoring, encouragement and insight were indeed a rare opportunity and a significant recognition.
It's a wonderful opportunity, and I'm just so sorry that it wasn't around when I was studying, because I'm so jealous of these wonderful singers getting this opportunity. And I think for me as an artist who's performed all around the world, it's wonderful to be able to give back and to be able to contribute somehow, not only with regard to vocal technique, but also to life experience. I think what's most important is not only for young singers to understand that this career is tough physically, it's also tough mentally. So it's for me as an artist to kind of let the young artists know that we have to be prepared in every way.
To have the factory help us, the Wexford Festival, to grow up. Last year I decided to biannualize the factory. So it means that the students that were here last year, they are here this year. And you can see the step forward that they have done during this year, working with us, and working with teachers and tutors. And this is amazing. And now some of these singers are in the main stage role. So it's a kind of chain that will make the festival, first of all, is a duty for a festival like this one to have an academy, to have an intensive academy, to bring here teachers that otherwise they shouldn't have it.
You see people playing the drums and you think this must be the most therapeutic thing on the planet. Opera singing is the singing equivalent of that. Because you know you get like these folk singers and people like that who sing, and you can tell from recordings that they're very close mic'd and it's almost like they're whispering. But in terms of like opera, it's a full body experience. I mean, like, and when it all lines up and you make these crazy sounds, it's amazing. But the soprano is going to walk around the green room and sing as loud as she can, just to make sure that none of us can have a conversation. We're also expected to clap at the end.
Two of the singers at the factory last year and now singing at this year's festival are Kathleen Norkey from New York and Rory Dunn from Kildare.
Thanks so much.
Now with major roles, their careers are well on track.
It's been probably the most challenging role I've ever done, and probably the first lead role I've ever had. So not only is it the first role as a leading lady to this capacity, but it is also the longest I've ever been on stage, so it's the most demanding physically I've ever had.
What are you not going to do?
Hold
Clap.
your hands.
Right.
Clap for each other.
I love you. I love you.
If a director tells you to sing on your back upside down, you do it. And you have to be able to learn how to sing in positions, and if the director asks, you do it. Now, if it doesn't work physically, that's one thing, but if you can make it happen, I mean, when you're being so vulnerable on stage, it's so important. You want to know that you're doing well, and you want to make sure you're doing well for the people that hired you. You want to do well for your conductor and your colleagues. It's terrifying, but it's been rewarding, and I often feel like crying in the best way because I'm so proud of myself. It's a different kind of day. It's a physical day. It's like, you know, an athlete training 13 hours a day. I mean, Olympic athletes even take breaks. I think mental health is obviously the number one part of this job that I think people don't think about. It is, your body is your instrument. So if you have a cold or if you get COVID, I mean, it goes and affects your lungs. And so it's really important to take care of yourself. And as you mentioned before, you know, with the loneliness and being on stage for the first time and not getting the necessary feedback constantly or the positive reinforcement, you know, you have to be so mentally strong. It's really important that you stay mentally and physically strong, and mentally is just as important as the physical aspect.
For me, it's very much, I know people speak about talent a lot and about potential that you're born with, but I mean, there comes a point, you know, I think everyone can learn to sing and everyone can be an opera singer, but it's very much about making a choice in your life to be like, okay, I'm gonna work and do this, and just knowing that there's thousands of hours of practice ahead of you and it's a slow process, but you do get better as you do it. When you do, it's good to be able to look back and go, oh, okay, yeah, I actually have built up. It's like I guess, like you were saying, certain athletic things, and I think we're, you know, athletes in a way, but it's for a very specific set of muscles and how they interconnect, and it's such a specific skill that we have that it's inside you, the voice, that sort of thing. But it's.
Do you get invited to a lot of parties because people know you're going to entertain them, or?
Yes, yes.
I do not get invited.
Yes.
Turned down a lot of parties.
Party trick. It's a party trick.
I'm terrible at singing at parties. This is the thing, though. My family are dead with me just being like, "Oh, give us a song, Rory," and it's like,
No.
I don't really like singing when I'm not on the stage, to be honest. I used to sing in pubs and that sort of stuff, and I think I've kind of done it to death now.
While both have had the good fortune to learn and perform at Wexford, they're very aware of the challenges that may lie ahead.
The pressure is huge for people up in that echelon of singers. You know, they get big paychecks, but also you're only as good as your last performance in these opera houses where the audience will boo if you don't sing something correctly or something that they don't. So absolutely, still in some places specifically. I mean, we're lucky in Ireland. The audiences are so wonderful and kind, and they want to see something beautiful and something great on stage, so they'll push you to get that, and you work with the audience.
Well, I wish you both success
Thank you.
and security.
Oh, sure, me too.
1 out of 2 is not bad.
One
So
of the
that's
two is
good,
not bad.
yeah.
Anne-Sophie Duprels is an acclaimed French soprano. As she prepares to go on stage in the lead role of Edmea, even she's still prone to first night nerves.
I might look quite calm, but inside it's just like I'm very nervous. You know, I've been doing that job for many years now, but you know, it doesn't get, I would say, easier or simpler or less. You know, I still get very, 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 very nervous. So yeah, but it's also, I think it's part of the excitement, and you know, you want to give your best. I'm very, very, very focused. But I do enjoy it. But it's my job, you know. So I take it very seriously. Yeah, it's a never-ending journey, you know, being an artist too. You're never happy about what you're doing, but you keep trying. No, it's a great experience. But as I said, it's my job. So I really want to do it well. And of course, when you feel that the audience is happy, there is nothing, you know, more amazing.
The lot of a professional opera singer isn't all about glamour and adulation.
We have lives more close to the ones of recluse, you know, like nuns. This is a very lonely job because you work and then you do a show and you go back to your hotel room and you're on your own. And so you have to learn how to deal with that.
The joys and challenges of the passion that is opera. Join us in part 2 when we'll hear how this acclaimed festival relies on the voluntary participation of hundreds of local people to keep its doors open and the music playing. The Wexford Opera Festival has had its challenges down through the years, but local people have supported the festival through thick and thin. This year, more than 400 volunteers have put in weeks of work to ensure its success. And now we're off to meet one family who for 4 generations have been part of Wexford Opera.
Wexford has always relied on local people to give generously of their time to help out in numerous roles during the festival. For one family, that meant giving up part of their home over the years to create a bar the theatre opposite didn't have. They still serve drinks and coffee, but no longer in their living room.
We had lords and ladies and ambassadors and ministers and all sorts of people came over. As children, we'd have to tidy up and polish and clean everything. As I said, even the fire would be lit and we'd nearly have to polish the coals, you know, because you'd never know who you'd get in.
So I gather it wasn't just tea or coffee that was served here either. There was a bit more going on, especially later in the evening.
Well, you called it a saloon, but I think it might have been more of a shebeen, maybe, I don't know.
I grew up, as I said, my bedroom was directly opposite the old rooms where they would have rehearsed back in the day, so I really had no choice because the rehearsals would have gone on well into the night, and a lot of early mornings, Saturday mornings particularly, they would have rehearsed upstairs, so the melodies were coming through my bedroom window before I was even awake. It's enchanting, yeah. You're brought to another dimension almost when you walk in there and sit down, and it hits all of your senses the minute you're seated in there for the duration. There's a fair few nice Italian singers here this year, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we have our eye on the Italians.
Oh, I see.
The festival has grown up in its history, so now it's very professional, but it couldn't live without volunteers. It's amazing, and you can find them in the wardrobe, in the makeup, in the front house, in the bar, wherever.
Got my flies open.
The dressing room is where performers may have perhaps their last moment of calm before taking to the stage. Wigs and costumes are an integral part of theatre and opera, blending magic and realism.
Basically, you know, at the beginning, I would have a chat with the designer and the director, and we find out exactly what they need, and then we work out their makeup and their wigs and what their character is. The one thing that a lot of actors say to me and singers say to me is that it actually makes them feel their character, and that's it. It helps them. They actually feel like they can go out there and they can become their character once they've had their hair done and their wig on, etc. I love any sort of a nice period dress, costume, opera, because, you know, you can just run away with fantasy, you know, and like with this one here with the birds and the bows in it and pearls, and you know, it's all about just imagining things.
For the audience, staff and volunteers, a return to live performance has been long anticipated.
It's absolutely wonderful. It is unbelievable. We've waited a long time and it's worth it. It really is.
It's just magical. It's super. Even though we have a small audience, but nevertheless, it's so wonderful that the Opera House is open.
It's wonderful to be back after such a long absence, because it's very much part of the life and culture of the town here in Wexford.
Even with a scaled-back programme, recital performances remain an essential part of Wexford. Soprano Celine Byrne is central to this alternative to the nightly opera productions.
It's wonderful to be back. Last year I did a recital, and it was here also in Wexford Opera House, but it was to a camera, no audience, and today to be back and to have an audience was thrilling. And it means so much to be here on the 70th anniversary of Wexford Opera, because when it opened first, you know, I heard so many things being passed down from my teachers about Wexford and how wonderful it was that Ireland had this wonderful festival, which led to being a prestigious festival all over the world. And here again, to be part of the 70th anniversary, it's a great honour to be here on a home stage. I love performing at home, and Wexford Opera is becoming now a second home.